Do you want the most credible, knowledgeable Silicon Valley professionals to review over your business and technology idea? Well, now you can with GStack. And we're going to review that today with my business ideas for apps. Nick, are you ready to get into it today?
I am so ready.
Hell yes, let's do it. Okay, so what we are talking about is GStack. And GStack is a skill that you can put into Claude Code. And what it allows you to do is basically work through a series of questions. Nick, I'm going to talk about this, but I want you to talk about who Gary Tan is and how this helps.
Who's that guy? Why would we trust this guy? How do we know he knows anything about startups?
Exactly.
Who's Gary?
Why would we? Who is this guy? Well, he is the CEO and was he founder of also Y Combinator? So
not founder, but early batch, has been associated with Y Combinator from nearly the beginning. Really highly respected guy. And he's going kind of founder mode on Y Combinator now, which is cool to see. And he's just he's gotten Claude pilled. That's the new orange pilled, I think. Claude pilled, just obsessed with Claude, and realized some of had the same realization a lot of us had on how fast you can build stuff, but had the realization that what he does every day at Y Combinator, advising companies, he can now bottle this up and put it into a skill. And there are so many lessons from Y Combinator that are so great for building a tech company. And this is just on tap now.
On tap. So Y Combinator is an incubator that is based in San Jose. And this is a group where you will apply as a startup. San Francisco now, excuse me. You will apply as a startup to be part of this basically 3-month sprint where you will be advised by the best, most knowledgeable people in Silicon Valley. And to give you an idea of some of the companies that have Airbnb, Coinbase, several unicorns that have come out of this. And they have taken a lot of the skills and knowledge they have in advising startups, and they have built it into skills which you can then apply to your Claude Code projects. So let's get into it. Okay, I'm going to share my screen just to give users an idea here. So you start in GitHub is how you start here. You can just Google search Gary Tan, GStack, GitHub, and it will bring you to right here. And then you'll see a list of folders, which are essentially different skills for you to run on your startup idea. And probably a good place to start, I would say, would be the office hours skill. So Nick, you went through Y Combinator. You went through, I'm assuming, their actual office hours at times. What was that experience like for you? And what value did you get from it?
So the experience with Y Combinator, specifically office hours, is the exact kind of mode of advice that you want for building a company or doing something important, where it challenges your thinking. And you feel kind of dumb walking away from it. If you have a good session, you feel dumb walking away yeah, why didn't I consider that? Or why am I stuck on that certain thing? Or why are we not moving faster in this specific dimension? And it's cool to go through the office hours, the skill, because you kind of forget for a moment you're not talking to a real person, and they're kind of challenging your thinking on how you got to this, why you want to go down this path, and evaluating it. It is, by the way, it is uncomfortable, which is amazing. You come up with something you want to build, and it's your little pet, and you don't want to kill the thing, right? But any founder, that is their job, to really challenge their own thinking, their own direction, right? You gotta run it through the what do you call it? The gauntlet to make sure that you can make it out the other end. Okay.
So I did this today before we recorded for a concept. So I went here, I went into office hours, and then I downloaded. This is what you'll do here. Download.
And by the way, you're looking up stuff like it's 2024. You can just go into Claude Code and just rattle off go grab GStack.
You can. It's just easier for me to show this for people to Cloud Code. So you could download this and then move it to a folder that you have for this new idea or project. So I did that, and then I started this exercise of office hours. So stress testing an idea. This is really interesting. And I think when I go through any idea, I'm going to go through this process. Once you get this skill downloaded, put in your folder, reference the document in the folder there in Cloud Code, then you can start this process. So I started it with this new idea, and I'll walk you through the process. So if you're looking to do this, you'll gain an idea what this exercise is like, what you'll get out of it. And I highly recommend it because I think you are going to get your idea great feedback from it and then really polish it and then get a great start to your document. So here's a prompt I gave it, Nick. I said, I want to build a fitness app specifically for kettlebell workouts. I want this app to be kind of an app that you put as a guided timer. You put your phone out, right? And then loop videos for each exercise, and then you move to the next one. The idea is people could put this on whenever they're at home or in the gym, and they can work out along with the app and timer through different kettlebell exercises. It would be like the experience of one of these online fitness classes with loop videos, merged with the convenience of an at-home app specifically for kettlebells, which is one of the newer, most trendier workouts. That was the prompt I gave it. That was the prompt. And then we worked through a series of questions to stress test that, right? And I'm going to...
So you instantiated GStack there,
yes.
like that was, you're talking basically to the GStack skill there?
Yes, office hours specifically. Okay. The office hours skill specifically, right? So the first question it asks is, what is your goal with this? And I thought that was an important question because the feedback it would give me is if I'm trying to build a unicorn business versus a fun side project business, it's a different approach.
Yeah, it really is. People forget that or don't realize that. It really, really is.
Yes. Yeah. So if you are stress testing an idea that you're going to try to raise money for and build a team and really try and have a big exit, you're going to have a different approach to this office hours than if you select, this is a side project that I want to learn from, which is what I selected. I said, this is a learning project to have fun with. So that changed the dynamic of the questions. And then it asked, what is the coolest version? Which I thought was a fun question to ask, right? What is the coolest version of the app? And it was basically smart programming for kind of daily workouts, that daily workout experience. Who's the user? I'm building it for me, right? And what is the fastest path to usability? What a great question, by the way. What is the fastest path to usability? And I think I like this question because it forces you to prioritize what you need to build.
Yeah. And another thing I like about it, and it does do this, it works with you to get to the fastest MVP. You want to use this thing so you can be real about whether it's useful or not. And so you have a point which to branch off from for future building, right? I really liked that when I went through it, that it was like, okay, here you can do this. This is a quick version. We know it's not everything you asked for, but you'll be able to kind of see, hey, is this working for your workflow? Yeah.
That's it. What is the fastest path to usability? And it's really just one hardcore workout with the timer and video loops. That's all I need to stress test this idea. I don't need to build out a huge program for workouts. I just need one workout that someone could experience to go, oh, this is fun. You should continue to build this. That's the fastest path I need. And then it looked at some of the existing things out there. So what it does is when you build this skill, it'll then search the web and it will review over the competitors and identify potential gaps in the market, which is a step that you should not skip because you will learn a lot about what's already out there, because what's already out there, what's already selling has already been validated, right?
Yep.
I'm curious, how many founders do you feel like skip that step of competitor research where they go, I've just got this amazing original idea. It doesn't matter what everyone else is doing. I'm going to build this out. And they skip that step. How often do you see that?
Quite often. I mean, they skip the step that we were just talking about, like validating your idea at all. People naturally avoid, like they don't want to ruin their dream, right?
Yes.
And that, again, a founder, that is your job from day one that you start something. You're supposed to poke and prod at your idea to find where the holes are, right? And a big hole would be that, oh yeah, 100 people already tried this and none of them are successful. That's a pretty strong signal that maybe you should think about something else or think about a very different approach. I mean, the successful founders do this. And in fact, the founders that go through Y Combinator, the large majority of them do this because you're heavily advised to do that. And they bring in the type of people that would do that.
That's right. That's right. And then the other part that I think people, maybe new founders, including myself, can get deterred by is when you do the competitive research, you see there's already a lot of existing products in that field, and then you start to get discouraged. However, I don't think you should. I think that should be a validation that there's a market there.
Yeah, there's a lot of ways to look at that.
You still have to find how you can compete, but
No, you have to find how you're not going to compete. Meaning, like, you don't want to be competitive. You want to find the thing that's going to allow you to win where everyone else couldn't, right?
The gap in the market.
Yeah,
that's right.
Well, yeah. If there are many competitors and they all kind of are fumbling on the most important step, and you can find that, then you can have a big advantage. But yeah, they can validate a market if there are people using something. Yeah, you just have to be smart about it.
Real quick, if you want to learn vibe coding, if you want to learn how to develop apps like the one I developed, Caddy Stretch, I use Vibe Coding Academy. That is how I got started, and it's how it saved me a lot of time and be able to publish an app within 2 weeks. So the coach is Alex Flynn. You follow him basically through the process of making an app, and by the end of the course, you'll have your app ready in 2, maybe 3 weeks. Check it out if you want to get into it. Linked below, and you click on the link, it does help the channel, so we appreciate it. Thanks. Now, back to the show. So the closest existing thing with this idea is there are kettlebell-specific workout apps. However, they prioritize a large library of kettlebell workouts and exercises over the actual experience of using the app and the exercise. So that is where, with this idea, we're landing on how to compete. You don't need a huge library of kettlebell exercises. You just need really good workouts and user experiences with loop videos and timers that make it feel more like you're in a class rather than you're looking at a list of exercises that you have to do on your own. That is sort of where we landed in the discussion, which I thought was a pretty good insight. So the next question asked, I think, is more of a question that lays the future of your product out. And it is, what is the 10x vision of your product, right? What would the best possible version of this product be in the future? And we landed on something like, if it was personalized and programmed to your exercises and what you've logged in, and then it makes recommendations daily for it. So more personalized, essentially, be the 10x version. So that was a phase one.
The 10x version, this would be interesting. What if you built an iPhone case that had an integrated kettlebell?
Wait a minute.
So that people have them with them all the time. See, I have a hardware background.
So you can carry on your kettlebell that has an iPhone on it?
You want really high usage for this, right?
Okay.
It's just an idea. It's just an idea.
Trolling.
Okay. Yeah, maybe.
Someone will do it. Someone will do it. Okay.
Cool. Okay, this laid this out like this. All right.
It did. So I also did. So once you work through initial questions, output you get out of the office hours is a design document where it'll start to list the design approach it wants to take. What I also did here, Nick, is I did not just the office hours from GStack. I also did the Plan CEO review. So this is really good. And you can use this for existing products. This is where you're going to really make your product stand out. Plan CEO review. So this is another skill you download, you attach it, you run it. And then from there, it'll ask you more questions on basically how to make the best possible product out of this. How to really create an award-winning product with this. Not just your MVP, but how to make this user experience really good, and then also design the tech around it and really make sure you're solid from a tech point of view. So it worked through some more questions, but essentially it built out the design document where it discussed the guide experience, the video loops, and then it also approached some of the tech specs to be used, right? HTML, React Native, Next.js, and then even spec'd out some of the more specifics. Phase 3 was a CEO review where it asked basically, here's additional, it doesn't display here, here's additional features that could be added in the future, which I accepted all except one. So another thing during this is that you can push back during this question period because they might suggest stuff that is good, and I'm almost always going with the recommendations. But for one, I just didn't like where it said, you know what, should there add an option where if you're just exhausted, you can hit in the middle of a workout, pause for 15 seconds and catch your breath. And I thought, you know what, if I'm exhausted in the middle of the workout, I'm just going to pause. I'm not going to hit my phone.
Yeah.
So I skipped that suggestion. I accepted some of the other ones that really created a strong user experience. And then from there, like how the timer would work, how the video would work, how everything worked, it basically streamlined it so the user would just get in there very quick and have a good experience. And then from there, it built a final architecture with all the components, the machine, the data layer, and the MVP scope. And it produced a very detailed PRD document, which
Cool.
you can then use to put into Claude Code and build the app. PRD document here. It's got the overview, the problem statement, the target users for this, and then it's got the vision, some of the premises, and then the list of functional requirements. You're thinking, okay, that's a lot. It took me like 15 minutes to do all this. 15 minutes. It thought things out so thoroughly that I could be at a point now to just execute. I won't have to go through and thoroughly change the PRD documents or anything like that, which is kind of the problem I've run into the first app where my vision changes or I'm changing this. Like you do the research prior, you get your vision and functions set, you get your vision straight, your functional requirements set, and then you just execute. This 15-minute exercise will set you up for success and save you so much time.
Yeah.
So much time.
It's funny.
So I couldn't recommend it enough. It's easy to set up. It'll give you the tools you need. You really to get your idea off the ground. So that is GStack, and I'm going to use it for a lot of ideas because it just streamlines a lot of that process of stress testing. And the outcome of that might be I'm not going to pursue this idea, which is a very good use, which saves a lot of my time.
And tell me your thoughts on this, is that, when before AI, when you'd spend a month, 2 months just getting to the first version of it, you don't want to just throw that away. You want to make it work, right? But the fact that you can get to a working prototype really quickly, you're more willing to be like maybe, but I'm going to try something else, right? It's not as painful to throw away something.
That's right. So I enjoyed that experience. I'm going to do it for the app that I have built out more, which is my Caddy Stretch app, which I'll give an update on, Nick. So Caddy Stretch is the app my first app that I've been vibe coding with. I do not have a technical background. I am newer to Claude Code. I'm jumping in, I'm learning things, and I am developing and publishing apps, which I hope to build a business with. My background is in sales. Again, I'm not a technical founder, but I'm sharing this journey because I believe that anyone can do it. So a couple mistakes I've made along the way here with developing my app. I started kind of changing things a lot. And with Claude Code, you can really build things quickly. And you can build a lot of unnecessary features.
Is that what you ended up doing? You get excited about some feature and then immediately add it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And no one wants it.
Yeah.
Which is such a common mistake, I feel like, that developers
And then it dilutes
make.
the rest of your product because it just adds noise. People don't know what it's for. You're not focusing on the things that people want and improving those. Is that kind of your experience you're saying?
That's exactly what I did.
Yeah.
I thought, I got to make this app better. I got to make this app better. I got to add all these things and add more value, to add more features that users could use. And I'm going to be innovative. I'm going to add stuff that might be new and might be that.
Right.
What I really should have done was focus on one feature and make it really good rather than add a lot of unnecessary stuff.
Yeah. I mean, it's hard to do that though, because it's legitimately fun to add more stuff.
That's it. It's fun.
right?
It's fun.
So what are you going to do? So you added a bunch of stuff. What are you going to rip it all out?
I ripped it
Are
all
you going to
out.
just leave it? Yeah.
I basically spent a week working my tail off, building features, sat down, got feedback, and then ripped it all out.
Yeah. I don't know how to deal with some of this stuff because, sometimes, before AI, you'd come up with an idea and it took long to build and plan out. So you'd kind of sit with it for a while, right? And then maybe a week later, you're like, yeah, that's kind of dumb. But now you can just build a thing and ship it.
Yep.
Maybe it is, one thing I thought about is like, okay, if you might as well just build the thing and feel it, but you don't want to dilute the main application. So I've thought about adding maybe feature flags or having a kind of a labs mode. You see some, right? And so you can go in and click it and enable it just to kind of like look at it again later.
Perhaps there's value in just publishing it to a test database so you can just
maybe
think through an idea.
Yeah.
Maybe that might be a way to go about it. But really, when you go through like the G-Stack exercise, you're going to be set up for success with that plan. You don't need to deviate off of that to get your MVP. The path is pretty well evaluated and thought through. You just got to execute on that, which leads me to another mistake that I sometimes make is that it's so now that we have AI, we really have to leverage that the best of our abilities and sometimes get out of our own head. And I think at times AI can be very agreeable, and that can lead to some issues because it's just agreeing that I should build all this, BS features in my app, which are unnecessary. So somehow I need to remove the human equation, which is the dumb thoughts in my head sometimes, and really rely on the AI experts that you collaborate with when you are vibe coding, when you are a solo founder. Like you have to, you don't have a team. You don't have people to say, we don't need to do this. Let's focus on this. You got to somehow really have the context that the AIs will be that resource and tell you no, which AIs don't always tell you no, don't always tell you no.
So how have you done that?
Not successfully. Well,
actually,
now I have G-Stack. So G-Stack would be the better approach. Where before I was using just a chat, I was using Claude Code, one screen, and then a chat on the other, Claude Chat, which would act as a product manager. And it didn't push back on me probably enough. It didn't. But I could have, another way I could have done this is I could have given it better instructions, perhaps what it acts as, to really keep me prioritized. And I hadn't done that. So I guess one way to avoid this would be how the prompt you give it, should help push back on you perhaps with ideas.
G-Stack does a pretty good job of that.
G-Stack would be the solution though too.
Yeah, it's great.
Because it stress tests you. It really does.
The part of it will spin up a session with OpenAI Codex to adversarially look at your plan, which I thought was really interesting. And Codex is not as like fun and friendly as Claude Code. So maybe it's well suited as an adversarial agent. Do you have Codex installed?
No, I haven't used it yet.
I would install it too if you have an OpenAI subscription, even the $20 one.
I don't.
Okay.
And here's the other issue I'm running into as a solo founder, vibe coder. There's just too many tools.
Yeah, there's so many tools. And it's like kid in a candy store.
My whole day trying to learn different tools, buy new tools, and then not ship any code.
Yeah. Yeah. It's a lot of work keeping up, and you'll never be caught up, ever.
Because every week there's something new.
Right.
I got really excited last night when I was discovering Google Gemini now has this screen share feature where Gemini Flash 3.1, you can share your screen. It will view your screen while you're vibe coding and you can talk out loud to it. I thought, wow, that would be like having a senior developer over your shoulder helping you out.
Right.
It was a pain, Nick. I tried the workflow. It was a pain.
Funny.
It didn't work very well. It crashed a lot. It didn't always read the right screen. And then it would just slowed me down because it would talk for a while and then I'd have to interrupt it. And I don't know if I like when the AI talks back to me. I think I just like it in text. I don't want to sit there and listen.
Out of here.
Yeah, exactly. In a way, because when it's just text, I can just scan through it quickly for whatever. I think it's quicker just with text and copying and pasting rather than like waiting for the AI to respond and explain this thing fully. It's like,
That is a mode that I like a lot. I like talking to it and then reading text.
Reading text.
Yeah.
Not having it talk to you though.
Right. Right. Are you using
Yes.
a speech to text now for your prompts?
Sometimes.
Sometimes.
But the new Gemini 3.1 Flash feature where you share your screen, it does you do talk to it like you do with Gemini Live, and then it
Mhm.
does talk back and provide some text on screen. I don't know if you can have it just do the text. It is supposed to just kind of be a conversation, and I don't like sitting there and just listening to the AI because it feels like I'm impatient. It takes too long, and a lot of times it goes on the wrong path, and I have to interrupt it.
I feel like that mode could be really great, but the first versions of it are going to be annoying and terrible and unusable because you can't just like imagine if you're using Claude Code and it did text to speech on all of its output. It's like it'd take forever to just read it, right?
Yes, that's right.
I almost want both. I want the text that spit out from Codex or Claude Code or Gemini and to have a voice that has a different script. Like if it were human, they wouldn't come up with a page document and stand there and read it to you, right?
That's right. They would say, "Look, I summarized the answer. Go view it in the text or then
Something different, right?
something different."
But that's like tricky. I actually think a lot of the kind of human factors things around some of this stuff is really it's a fun problem. I think there's a lot of opportunity there because the AI models they're not going to be able to nail the human factors stuff because they just don't have that real world awareness of what people like to do, what's annoying, what's not, what kind of interrupts your flow. I think there's a lot of opportunity there um, to start companies around some of that stuff. And there's a new fast growing market of people that are using these tools, right?
Right. Yeah. So I'm pumped on the G Stack. I think if you are coming up with an idea about to launch a business, I would highly suggest running through this. Not only will it help validate and work through the idea, it will just build out your PRD documents, your design documents, and it will make the next steps in this process so much better and quicker and quicker.
Yeah.
You can then, this is now a weekend project where before I was like so overwhelmed. I was like, how am I going to just select what to do? You just knock it out. And then you can kind of build it out over a weekend, and then from there continue to iterate and develop. So the G Stack, it's a winner. Check it out. Nick, let's wrap. Easy, short episode. Hopefully everyone got value. Remember to subscribe, help like us. We're going to be talking every week about vibe coding with Claude Code, with the different apps. We're building businesses here. We're having fun. We're having a good time. And our hair looks great.
Fantastic.
All right. Thanks, everyone.
All right. Peace.